the chat. So I put the splash screen on and I'm frantically adding to the document too. Looks like we got about eight people. I feel like we had so much more. Where is everyone? Did no one finish the book? I listened to it twice again. I loved it. That's what I'm doing wrong. This is why we practice. There we go. Try talking again.
Oh, I think Aaron is just getting work still, so I imagine he'll be in here soon.
Work. I'm going to pretend I don't look like I'm on hour 11 of my working day. Hour 11. And I got a 6 a.m. call time tomorrow and I have to be camera ready. I was going to have a drink, but that's why I'm not. Is anyone else having a drink?
I'm just having tea.
Oh, tea.
Diet Coke.
Yes. Yeah, keep it coming.
Just vanilla Coke.
Vanilla cake. My dog's been fed. Oh my gosh, Zelda got a haircut. I can't wait to show everyone. I don't know if I've got the patience for 2 minutes. So it's just me. What's up? So we're going to get everyone talking in the Twitch. I know that last time we were having a little conversation about that. So if everyone can open the Twitch, put the Twitch on mute, and then comment in the chat. So comment's going to be about 20 seconds ahead. Oh, just like Cat's done. Okay, ta-ta. Hello. Hi. Hi, everyone. Maude here. We're chatting books. It is hour 11 of my workday today. We are chatting books. The book is 6 of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. It's a phenomenal book, and this is the second chat that we are having on it. The first one we covered parts 1 to 3, and now we are talking parts 4 to 6. I'm going to kick things off with a rating. So if everyone wants to unmute and hit me with what they give this book, not necessarily a series because we haven't read it all yet. No, we have to comment in the Twitch, if that's okay. Sorry, I know that's a bit annoying because muting is on Discord, but then chatting is on Twitch. But the Twitch thing means I can pull the comment up. Oh, Michelle, I have to work late tonight, book friends, but we're watching Twitch. Just wanted to pop in and say the tension in this book is really something else, and I can't wait to read the next book. Yeah, you're not wrong with that. I just need a third screen is where I'm at with it all. Oh, that works if I do it like that. So I can pull it all up. Alrighty, let's get those ratings in out of 5. 6 of Crows, Leigh Bardugo. The first book out of this duology. We got a 5 out of 5 from Aaron. Talk to me, Aaron. Are you there? Did you get off work?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Talk to me.
I did. I just got off right a moment ago. Thankfully, I'm working at home.
5 out of 5. Perfect book.
Yeah, especially with the way it ended. I was just like, why is it ending now? It's just getting so good. I want more.
Okay. 5 out of 5. Ivari, I liked it. Skull Cleaver, I rated it a 4.5 out of 5. Miss Necromancer, 5 out of 5. Talk to me about your perfect score rating. I don't know. How many 5 out of 5s have you been giving out? Kate? 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 Are you there, Kate?
Oh, she said she can't talk in there right now.
Oh, I see that. No worries. 5 out of 5 from Miss Necromancer, which is phenomenal. That's a perfect book. Avery, do you want to tell me why you gave it a 4 out of 5?
I just, I don't know. I give 5 out of 5s kind of sparingly, so I like really, really enjoyed it. But I don't know.
I hear you.
I would just say that, there were just like little things that like I would have, just little things that I think would have maybe push it to a 5 out of 5, but I definitely debated it for quite a while before I gave that rating. So.
Okay. And that's what you gave it on Goodreads, hence it being a whole number? Yeah.
Yeah. I would have given it a 4.5 probably if Goodreads had that option.
All right, cool. 4 out of 5. Loving that one. Avery, great to chat with you tonight. Kat, 5 out of 5. Another perfect score. Jump on. Why the score? Talk me through it.
This whole story is, at least to me, really unique, and all of these characters are so unique. It just versus other literary characters, but also in this universe, they're all distinct characters that almost feel real, which really made me love these characters and love this book and really care about what they're going through.
Yes, I echo all of your sentiments with that one. And the cartographer can't chat, but gave it a 5 out of 5. Perfect score. Abe just wants to contribute. Didn't read, but just taking your opinion, I'll give it a 5. Great. Avare is saying, look, I appreciate the different viewpoints. Yes, and especially listening to it and having distinct audiobook talent for that, which I want to chat about. But I really appreciate the different viewpoints. And I do think that with Shadow and Bone, the thing that's lacking is that first person singular view, where in this instance it was third person, but actually a lot more intimate a lot of the times as well. I'm Ron Burgundy, says Gory Kills. Welcome to Book Club. Lisa, you also gave it a 5 out of 5. Why did you love this book? That was my tummy. Did you hear my tummy just then? Hi, Lisa. How are you, love?
I'm good. I agree pretty much with everything everybody's saying. I think for me, like the characters are really what makes me love this book so much. And I love the relationships together and the banter. And it's just, it gets me in the heart. So I think that's why I give this one a 5.
Love it. Miss Necromancer couldn't talk before, but said, you know what? I'm very easy to please. I give a lot of 5 out of 5. Loving that one. Skull Cleaver says that I actually saved 5 out of 5 for Crooked Kingdom, which is the next book. That's exciting. A follow-up for that one. The first time that I read it, I gave it a 4 out of 5, but I feel like I made it lose a star because it wasn't The Lies of Locke Lamora, and that's not really fair to the book. So I boost my rank up 1 star. We are so reading Lies of Locke Lamora, if I have any say on that, because I actually don't think I read the series. I read the first book, and I think I've only read it once, but I got obsessed with it, hence trying to get, actually successfully getting Scott Lynch on the Geek Bomb Book Club circa 2014. Tell you what, 2014, I got a lot of stuff done that year. Jimmy, you're up. You gave it a perfect score as well. Why did you give this 5 out of 5? I'd love to hear from you.
I gave it a 5 out of 5 because, as like everyone else said, the camaraderie of the Crows is just like the main thing that I love about it. Like, I could care less about whatever else is going on. Just put these people on like wacky adventures. I'm down for it. You know what I mean?
And that is a sign of a really good ensemble cast, which kind of gives it that D&D feel because they go on an adventure and everyone has their distinct role with it, which is what's so exciting. I agree.
Exactly.
I agree with that. Miss Necromancer says, Shadow and Bone at the start of the series also lacked character nuance that came with Bardugo's growth as an author. 100% feel like that as well. Aaron says, it felt like film noir, Ocean's 11 heist story, but also like a 70s or 80s gangster film all mixed into one. Yeah, I get that gangster part with like mobs and gangs and like, you know, the underbelly of the city of Kedit. Damn. Kat, how they interact with each other is so good. Matthias and Inej had an exchange that was so good, but I'll save that for when we talk about the quotes. Yes, if you're watching this and you don't know, we are capturing and talking quotes. I actually added in a few of my own because I did a big listen through again today, and I have it with my phone out and I'll start writing it for me. Clever girl, are you there? Are you in the chat? Are you in Discord? I thought I remembered you joining.
I'm here.
Oh, hey.
I'm on Discord.
Hello. How are you, clever girl? Clever girl.
I loved this book. I loved all of the characters, and I kind of liked that it was dark. There was a chemistry between the characters, but there was also this darkness that, you know, Ketterdam is dark. The characters, especially Kaz, has this dark side to him.
The fact that Matthias calls him the devil, like the demon, he literally thinks that he's like a demon, I think is so incredible. But also shows the juxtaposition between sort of like an upbringing and survival. His survival was to form a pack mentality, which is a really kind of great symbolism with the wolf being Fjerden's kind of symbol, because it's pack mentality, and he has that beautiful moment where he kind of wants to strip himself from that pack mentality and wants to make his own decision, which actually is really kind of very similar to growing up in a religion and being old enough to be like, wait a second, I can form my own opinions and I don't think I'm liking what I'm being taught. I really like that part as well. We'll get into that. Thank you so much, clever girl. Great to have you in here. Miss Necromancer says, the whole series is so good. I love how each book is a separate heist, but still has overarching story. That is the best way to tell a story because it keeps you hooked at all times. And I'm a very visual person. So I do this when I plan my Fungeons and Flagons. So you've got the start, you've got the end, you've got the overarching, quite literally like an overarch, and then you have the in the middle. So no matter where you are on that, you are still invested in that. And I think that that's really important. I hope no one's just listening to this because I am doing a lot of things with my hands right now. Kat saying, Matthias is so damn dramatic though. Ugh. Yeah, he is. He really is. Avery says, I'm halfway through Crooked Kingdom and the story clicks together so gorgeously. I haven't started it yet, but that will be our next book. So if you do not have Crooked Kingdom already, definitely best get to that one. BMFK, a big hello. Hi all. We're talking a book that I hope maybe you've read. If not, spoilers. Game Wizard said that it also felt Mission Impossible set in a fantasy world too. I agree with that. Let's get that correction because grammar is important. And I think we're caught up there. Has anyone not given a rating? Gibson Witch, I just saw that you joined. A big hello to you. We are doing this a little bit different these days. So if you unmute, you get to be on the show live that I'm doing on twitch.tv/geek. Oh, you're already here. Well, there you are. Hi. Hi. How are you? I like that there's a Y in this one, Gibson Witch, like that. Chris, Maude, you got the start, you got the finish, and then you got the whoa in the middle. Yes, thank you. You're totally picking up what I'm putting down. For me, I give this book a 5 out of 5. I can't remember what I gave Shadow and Bone or if we ended up giving it a rating in the end. I think I probably would have given it a 3.5 or 4. Oh no, we rated each book individually and I was 3.5, 4, 4.5 or 3.5, 4.5, 4. But this is definitely a 5. I love the layered storytelling. And I think we kind of touched on to that with the, but also 6 different viewpoints, the interpersonal relationships between kind of all of them, the depth of the characters, showing these strengths and weaknesses, having everyone kind of split the party, which is another D&D term, which you're not really supposed to do, but it works really well here. And having different events play out, but only from the third person view of one person at a time. One of the big questions that I want to talk about this time, and I think that Michelle really hit the nail on the head with tension. The second half of the book, once the plan was enforced, was starting off the chapters with the chimes of the bell. this indicating sort of like 15-minute increments of what's happening with everyone at the same time, but it also builds the tension as well. Open mic, we'll have a popcorn talk discussion, and popcorn talk just means if you find a gap, go for it and just chat. I won't direct conversation. It's just like we're in a room together, so unmute. Did you like and did you feel that adding the start of the chapters with the bell chimes ramped up the tension? Did you like it? Who wants to go?
I did. It felt like a countdown almost.
Yes,
which,
Kat. Yes.
I mean, it was a tense situation already, but they're not letting you forget that time limitation.
Yeah, I agree with Kat completely. Does anyone want to add anything onto that? Knox, yeah?
Yeah, and it added a way to go back a little bit. Sometimes you were picking up the story that was happening while you were reading the previous chapter, and then it might go back an hour, and you'd see, oh, okay, so we're going back an hour. It helps kind of place it.
Oh, Miss Necromancer makes a great point as well. It's a really good use of cinematography in book form. Ding! Yeah, again with the, you know what I'm trying to say. Without saying it.
Built up the tension.
Yeah, agree. And like having that pressure of like again, it's like we have an in of this time, we have an out at this time, so this is all we have, and to feel that kind of like, catching in on them absolutely increases the pressure for it all. I don't know. I just think it was really good story writing as well, having it done like that, because the first half of the book obviously had a very different feel to the second half of the book as well. What did you prefer, the first or the second half of the book? Avery, I saw you unmuted before as well. Did you want to chime in? Pun intended.
Yeah, I agree with what everybody else said. I thought that by adding that, it allowed us. Yeah, and I liked the second half of the book better, definitely.
Second half. Clever Girl agrees with you. Second half of the book was a lot better. Had to immediately start Crooked Kingdom. I was too invested not to.
Sprinkles.
Yes, Sprinkles.
I preferred the first part of the book.
Okay, why's that?
I think it's the meat and potatoes of it. That's just my opinion.
The meat and potatoes. I hear you. Yeah, it sets the foundation before it gets stuck into it. I agree. And I think it was really good character development and really good sort of like setting that scene so that you could dive in. All right. Aaron, did you have something to add? Aaron. So, nope. Gibson, it was a really effective way to show everything coming together too, and made it so much more dramatic when complications came up. Exactly. Because it was like, you've got 45 minutes to go and then shit hits the fan. Miss Necromancer preferred the plotting in the second half, but I also prefer the setting of the first half. Ketterdam is such a great setting and a character all on its own. I love that. It's like Sex and the City making New York a character. Ugh, except this is so much worse. And Kat absolutely agreeing with that as well. Ketterdam. The ways that they would describe it with like personifications as well, or not even personifications, but like the fact that it was a leaky tap, everything was leaking. Like it was, really, really visual. I think the story writing in this one, I could see it a lot clearer in these particular moments. I was actually thinking about Hector a lot during this as well. Dank City is dank. Kate, you and I have a very similar sense of humor. I'm just going to say that. But the way that Hector reads books, he sees it from a directing point of view where he's sort of like through the lens watching the scenes and what it would look like as a director, whereas I'm more sort of like immersive, like I'm a fly on the wall or I'm seeing things unfold. But in this particular one, I could see like close-ups. I remember when Nina was like in the room and I could see sort of like the camera angles with the drain in the middle and nothing else in the room. And then, she's kind of like, and then the door shuts behind her, like it's really visual. And I liked those moments. Yes, DH Discord, come focus on the Twitch right over here. I'm going to be putting your tweets up into the broadcast and have the Discord open though, so that that's how we can communicate and talk. It's not going to align, which I'm really sorry about. It's about 20 seconds out, which is a bit of a bummer. But yeah, who had anything to add on to that? I heard a mic go.
This is Aaron. I think I got my mic to work again.
He's in. Huzzah!
All right. I was gonna say I liked the second half of the book, just because of it kept you on your toes a lot because you didn't know if when things were going wrong, was that part of the plan and it's just keeping you guessing as the reader, or was it actually just shit hitting the fan?
I loved that as well because every time, shit hit the fan or when there was an issue, it was usually Kaz who had predicted the next step or a way around that or, used Matthias and steered him as, a weapon or an object or like, a part of his plan. And Kaz testing Matthias as well. Like he just seemed so in control of so much of what was happening, even kind of going away and disappearing to have a chat with Pekka Rollins just to earn a favor. Like, yeah, stuff like that was really, really well done. But
you didn't know if Kaz was actually like just rolling with the situation or if it actually did go to plan.
Exactly, which is why I thought it was really monumental at the end when they're all looking to him, when, all the soldiers are out and the Grisha army comes out and all the Druskila, and they're like, what do we, they look to him for the answer. Like, come on, have you planned this? What do we do? Surely you have something. And he's like, nah, I'm all out. Like, I can't save us from this, which I thought was interesting. Hey, Gibson, I see that you're unmuted. Did you want to add to the conversation? I'd love to hear from you.
Oh yeah, just hi. But contrasting, Ketterdam versus Fjerda. In Ketterdam, in the first half of the book, they're all so familiar and so comfortable with their surroundings, and it just adds to the tension. I find that in Fjerda, everything's unknown and they're relying solely on Matthias. It just really kind of adds to the tension, I think, of the last half of the book.
Yeah, because they're going in blind and they're only going on the word of like 1.5 people at that stage. I completely agree. And I love that as well. I was also, just then talking about what visually Ketterdam to me, I can't even, in my mind, it's always at nighttime. And I wonder if anyone else has that kind of visualization. So if we were like, I don't know, we're talking like YA books. I'm going to bring up Pinterest. If we were to just like put it together a Pinterest sort of like mood board of what Ketterdam would be, it's always overcast, if not nighttime. It's kind of got it's a Gotham City kind of feel. I like that, True Scorn. I'm digging that. Yeah, it felt very Gotham City as well. Hardly ever sunny, always covered in shadows. I always see the ground as being wet as well, like it's just finished raining or it's about to start raining or it's going to continue raining. It's kind of got that vibe as well. I can see it kind of having like a Sin City sort of vibe, a lot of like desaturation, so not much color, really getting that mafia feel, that bleakness. But then at the same time, Fjerda's like the same, but I guess the way that I would do it is like all of the North scenes in Game of Thrones. So every time they were like north of the wall or at the wall, it would be that kind of. I never saw it like that actually. This is a D&D conversation. Waterdeep is a part. It's like a very. I see Waterdeep as more of a port, so I got like more of like a pirate vibe from it in a way, and I would see it like walking along jetties and wharfs, and that being kind of interlaced in that. But I saw Waterdeep as more of like a marketplace, more of a congregation. Ketterdam for me just feels like it's the slums, which again, it's on a port, so I totally see where you're going with that. That's a really interesting take as well. Does anyone want to kind of weigh in on the visualization of what it would look and feel like? Lisa says grimy. I like that. Clever Girl says the smell of fish, sweat, the worst of the docks. Yeah. If anyone's played The Witcher 3, there's a town, what is it called? It's been a hot minute since I played it and I'm trying to pull up the map, but it's like congregated town area. Again, it's on the wharf. You've got your noble, really, really nice area, but then along the docks, you know, where the warehouses are and where they're doing a lot of market stuff, a lot of brothels, a lot of drunkards, a lot of brawls, a lot of muggings. Yeah, Aaron, it's on the tip of my tongue. I can't even think of it. Jimmy, you want to chime in?
Yes, like I was saying before in the chat. I felt like Ketterdam was like Winterfell because, you know, it just always felt like very dreary, very cold, you know, like something
Murky.
was always around the corner that was going to like disrupt it, you know, like maybe like kids getting pushed out of towers. If that happened in Winterfell, probably didn't. But that's the point, is that you never knew what was going to happen. It was always had that tense moment.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what it is that you're kind of depicting there? It's that feeling of never being safe. There's always a risk. There's always something bad about to happen, and feeling on edge the entire time. And that's where you get the Kazes of the world. And it is survival. When we were hearing his backstory when he was on the streets, the first thing that he did was find someone smaller than him to punch and take his pants, which he threw into the water. But it was just an assertion of power. And it's the kill or be killed mentality, dog eat dog mentality. Yeah. So I agree with you in that regard. Yeah. Clever Girl says the Barrel is like a separate city from the rest of Ketterdam. It's where it's always dark and dank and dangerous. Yes, the 3 Ds for sure. Hey, the next chapter that I had, can I hear a pipe on in and say I if you listened to Six of Crows, if you listened to the audiobook? No one listened to it?
Okay.
Lisa did. Anyone else?
Yeah.
No one else listened to it. Says Avari. Okay. So everyone else read the book. Everyone else. What a crying shame. The Audible is so good. And I wanted to talk. So Lisa, I guess it's just you and I for the next little bit here. I wanted to talk about the voice actors in this. Who was your favorite? I know that Michelle, if you're listening, comment in. Michelle listened to it and got a bit of a crush on Matthias's voice actor. Novigrad. Is it Novigrad? I thought there was another one. So like Rochester or something. I don't know. Anyway, so Lisa, yeah, we had 6 prominent voice actors. Let's kick it off with Nina. Now, Elizabeth Evans is the same narrator that has done all of the Throne of Glass series. We've done Throne of Glass for Nerdist Book Club. What was it like revisiting Elizabeth Evans, who we've listened to countless times, as a brand new character in a completely different world? How is that for you, Lise?
Well, I didn't listen to Throne of Glass. I just got into audiobooks within like the last year or so. I really don't know on that, but
okay.
I don't know. I haven't listened to it as we're doing this. I've already read the book twice. Wow. So last time I read it, I listened to it. So I can't really remember exactly who I liked best out of them. Probably Nina, and I liked Jesper.
Okay.
I can't remember.
I did check, and Jesper is read by a black man, which I was thrilled about, because usually with voice, I know in the past, that's kind of been a bit of a blurry thing. It's more focusing on the voice, not the person who's making the voice. So that was cool. I guess I'll kind of weigh in on this because it's on my mind. If anyone else in the chat has listened to the audiobooks, I'd love to hear from you. Inej was read by the same author who did all the Shadow and Bone. So for me, that familiarity was really, really nice. I thought she captured Inej's sort of wraith-like, but at the same time, innocence and vulnerability really quite nicely. I agree. I thought Jesper was really good. Had a little bit of cheekiness. He was the comedic relief, so he had to have those light moments. The big one for me was Kaz. So Kaz's voice is often described in this book, and I think his voice really makes him. And I went back and rewatched some of the Shadow and Bone show now that I know who the heck these characters are. And even though I really like Kaz's very British, very serious, very sort of intense demeanor, the way that Kaz's voice is mentioned is it's kind of gravelly, like scratchy, deep, like, you know, kind of dark voice. And the guy who narrated Kaz, he sounds like this. So every time he read the voice, it was a little bit like this, and it was really well done. So when it was Kaz's chapter, I was like, ooh! So I was excited by that. Michelle's popped in to say, yeah, I listened, and the Matthias reader is swoon worthy. So the Matthias narrator has a very baritonal, sort of like deep, commanding voice. And, you know, as we know, he's supposed to be a soldier. but he does a really, really good job of being very direct and but deep. Yeah, it was kind of like, I don't know, he was trying to be like a Lancelot sort of thing, but I liked it too. But I will say I liked it a little bit more after you made a note of it, because I was like, oh yeah, I wonder, because I'm so fixated on Kaz's voice that when you're like Matthias's voice, I was like, is it? And then it's like chapter 21, Matthias, and I was like, oh hey boy, okay, I'm down. So I think that's everyone, and then Wylan doesn't get his own chapter, so was it Kaz, Nina, Inej, Jesper, Matthias? It's kind of it. Pekka Rollins gets his own chapter at the end, though. It's a little bit of an Irish twang on it, which I liked. Again, it sounded a lot like the show's character. Clever Girl said, Kaz's voice is what I missed most in the series. Yeah, he sounds young. He sounds like a young British boy, and he doesn't have that I've been through some shit kind of voice. And here we go, Gibson's on it. Yeah, the point about Kaz's voice is definitely an interesting one. While I missed the gravel in the show, I found his kind of youthful voice to be interesting because it's so easy to forget that these characters are teenagers. I'll agree with you that. Jesper's face reminds me that they're teenagers because he's just got such a baby face going. In the defense of it sounding young, he is young. Yeah, the kid's 17. I think Kaz's backstory is so interesting, and I want to talk a little bit more about the big lessons that we learnt from all the characters. Some of the themes that I want to chat about. If anyone else has any comments, unmute. I'd love to hear. But I just know that a lot of people didn't necessarily listen to it, so we'll move on. One of the big moments, there was a contradiction of perspectives, which I really enjoyed. And this is the argument that no one's actually wrong, but someone's right is another person's wrong, and their right is the other person's wrong, if that makes sense. So what I want to talk about is Matthias. He's a Druskeller, which means he is on a force that eradicates, literally commits genocide to Grisha, because they feel that Grisha have an unnatural power. And this is a lot like the mutant argument. You have an ability that far exceeds what a human can do. It can be weaponized. It can be used positively, which is why, you know, there's an army of it and it's sort of controlled military, I should say. But the other side of that is if you go rogue, you can become a lot of trouble and you live unnaturally long, which I don't really see the problem with that. But they deemed the Grisha a threat and they want to eradicate them. But then Nina, who's trying to prove to Matthias that she's actually very much sort of has human qualities, that she's not this blanket sort of dangerous person. And that's how his mindset gets changed. But there's a stage in this book where Nina, to protect her people, the Grisha, was about to kill or contemplating killing a boy. And this is the conundrum of, would you kill one to save many? And that whole kind of like notion of the greater good. And even Matthias said it. He goes, in that moment where she's like racked with fear and she's like, oh my gosh, I need to channel the Druskeller because this is what they do. It's a moment of sort of inconvenience or a moment of sort of moral gray for the greater good, the greater good. So I want to talk about the notion of the greater good and seeing two people's perspective and neither sort of being right and neither really being wrong, even though the Druskeller are pretty effed up. Let's be real. They are genocidal. Like they eradicated genocide. Like you know what I mean? But what's everyone's take on that? Who wants to unmute and participate in the greater good theme that we see in this book?
I feel like at least for the Grisha, their feelings are in response or defense to at the very least the Fjordans.
Please don't kill us.
Exactly. And you know, they've learned that just asking, hey, please don't kill us, doesn't make them stop. And I think also the Fjordans really do know that the Grisha are humans, but they have campaigns to dehumanize them to get everybody on board with you know, killing this enemy that isn't human
I think guilty for existing is a great way to sort of look at that, where it's like, you know, painting a very broad stroke against everyone and being tried and like trying to, you know, it's a technique that they use where it's like, no, we're being fair. We are giving you a right to a trial. But then, you know, Nina kind of blasted that straight away, being like, oh yeah, and who's not been guilty? Like, you're guilty for existing. And I think the real twist that we saw with this book wasn't, they weren't sentenced to death, and even the Druskeller were in the mindset that, and they truly believed that they were sentenced to death. But then this sort of like secret sect and the top tier realized that because they had talents that they didn't possess, these talents could be exploited. And so instead of sentencing them to death, they sentenced them to basically like, you know, not work for them. They used them. They completely used and controlled and destroyed them without killing them, which is worse than death. Yeah, I hear you for that one. And the other side of it is Nina is trying to eradicate a substance, and it's the substance that alters the being. And so one person has the formula for that substance. And so that's the way to stop the threat. So it's, I mean, there's definitely variables. This is not a mirror-esque type scenario here. But thanks for the input, Kat. Does anyone else have anything to say about this theme?
Sprinkles?
Go for it.
I have something to say about that. This is just my opinion. Because, you know, they both grew up separately, Druskeller and spacing on the other one. But yeah, the other side, they
Grisha.
are, yes, thank you, Grisha. They are, you know, they all missing a piece of the puzzle because they want to work together, but because they have that missing piece of the puzzle, they're kind of like trying to force it in, you know, and it doesn't always work that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like when they, because you're like, I understand what you're saying, but it doesn't make full sense to me. So like, you know, that's the best way I can express it.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. And it's a forced sort of mentality. It's a forced regime. It's a forced, mindset. I mean, the fact that Kat had a great point mentioning like the propaganda that Fjorda, but also Shu, which is explored more in the show, that they are, basically using propaganda to paint this horrific picture that's just so not accurate. Miss Necromancer saying here the Druskeller are also hypocrites because they're constantly using Grisha tech. That was so funny. Matthias was really truly brainwashed to believe that everything that the Grisha makes is evil. And then as soon as they enter this fortress and they see that straight away it's Grisha made, and Nina can recognize it straight away. Even Inej understands it. They're like, what the hell? I thought the Grisha were the enemy, and yet they're the reason that this place is so fortified and is so impenetrable. And it's like, yes. So I agree with you completely with that one. And the cartographer popping in again. So interesting that ultimately Matthias says that he's one of us to Nina. Exactly right. This was the moment that the wall broke down between them. This was seeing each other as an equal, as not an enemy. And that togetherness, and by saying us, it's a recognition of forgiveness as well, forgiving himself, forgiving her, forgiving sort of like their differences and acknowledging that. And it's also really interesting to note that he's lumped that in with Kuei, who is Shu, and he's technically a fugitive with very dangerous information. And he's claimed him as an us as well, which I loved too. Miss Necromancer, also interesting that Fjordans, who are obviously white people, are piggybacking off the people that they are actively oppressing. Yeah, and I see this happens a lot. Mistborn, the series that I'm reading at the moment, you've got your noble people and the Scar. And the Scar are your worse than lower class. You know, you are dehumanized. Again, there's propaganda being spread that they're not human, that they are lesser than and do not deserve anything. And it's all about the revolt and the uprising to try and sort of gain any kind of human rights. So yeah, this is definitely a theme that exists in a lot of fantasy and exists in our day as well. The ugly part of our world. Avery, did you want to jump on and talk me through this comment, Avery?
Yeah, so I was just talking about how the Fierdans use their religion to essentially brainwash the younger people. So Matthias was told that all of this technology was essentially created by Diel, and then so then if the Grisha are unnatural and go against Diel, but then they're using the Grisha to create this stuff, then they're basically telling them that the Grisha are using the power of Diel to create this, which just creates this whole like messed up, like hypocritical thing where they have like they're telling people one thing but then doing something else by practice.
Do as I say, not as I do. Yeah, because I'm going to tell everyone that they're really, really bad, but I'm going to use them, the bad thing that they have, which can destroy everything. I'm going to manipulate them and I'm going to exploit them. Absolutely. And this is definitely, was this tyrannical? Is this what kind of government system? Someone smart who understands a lot of sort of modern history and oligarchies and tyrannies and whatever that is. That's basically a big fascism. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, that's bad. It's bad. Aaron, yeah, I like this comparison as well. There's a group in the Wheel of Time that uses the Aes Sedai. Whatever helps me learn it, remember it. Uses Aes Sedai as channelers, as slaves and tools and weapons. Yeah, so it's like, wow, you have a lot of power. I don't have that power. I want your power, so I will control you and suppress you to use your power. Yeah. Which, and a lot of the conversations that I want to have today as well is what is the real life version of these fictional moments? And I've got one that I'd like to talk about as well. We've spoke about the notion of the greater good. I said, how does this relate to real life? Happens all the time. The argument that I wanted to make with like the whole Nina and Matthias hating each other, but neither of them actually being right and wrong. If I can bring my relatable story to this, Maude gets real for a moment. But being a woman in high school, or a girl, and having sort of like an enemy, chances are they're not really that bad. They're not inherently evil. It's just that you very much disagree about something, or a story was fabricated, or a story was twisted, or it was a he said, she said moment. A great example of this, I cannot believe I'm using reality TV, but if anyone saw The Circle with the whole Savannah and Terralisha showdown, neither was wrong, neither was right. They both saw a particular set of instances from a very different perspective and locked onto their ideals within it, which conflicted with the other parties. And so this is, Jimmy, I love The Circle. What? So this is kind of like how an enemy is made. And a big thing that I've done in my adult life is go back to these conflicts that I've had, especially with women, and really try to go and understand and learn their perspective, because they're not trying to just destroy me for the sake of it. There's a reason. I've done something that has sat not well with them, or they've interpreted or had a different perspective from what I was trying to say, but they took it in a different way and used it. You know what I mean? Like, this is how conflict sort of starts. And so I was just like kind of thinking of like a really watered down, but like a drenched in reality kind of take on your Matthias and Nina scenario. And I remember one that we used last week was, it's like a Democrat and a Republican. They just are so set in their values. It is unwavering. It is really hard to see eye to eye. You just want to defend your side and your points because it's, incessantly who you are and what you believe in. And it doesn't leave much room for meeting in the middle or wiggle room, and that's like the wall of conflict that you experience. And that's kind of all this is. But if you break it down to the very, very basics, we all want the best in things. We want the best for ourselves or our family or the world. but we have different ways of getting to it. STS says, does that happen to you a lot? I'm guessing we're talking about having conflicts with women. It used to. It hasn't in like the last 8 years, 10 years. Since I moved to LA, I had a clean slate and I was like, I'm not having that shit again. That was gross. But there was a few women in Sydney. It was a very, very competitive market in Sydney. And if you were working and you got the job that existed in the entertainment industry, you were hated for it. I was working the whole time. I had the job. And there was a target on my back because of it. And I wouldn't pander to people and make them feel better because I was getting the work that I worked really hard to do and get. Anyway, yeah, clever girl. I love this. People act out of fear, jealousy, or greed. And I will say that, yes, the Econ X. Welcome. So I have, this is a new name in the chat. So a big warm welcome to you. We need more empathy. That is absolutely what it comes down to. And empathy is just trying to listen and learn and understand another person's perspectives, even if you don't agree with it, but just to understand and recognize it. Another big thing to do is to not respond from emotion. Think, take a beat, because as soon as you come from a place of emotion, it's usually a negative emotion because of exactly what Clever Girl said, fear, jealousy, or greed. Usually the fear is the reaction. It's the I need to defend myself. It's fight or flight. So I'm choosing fight. It's panic. It's not a healthy place. And then once it's out there, the damage is done. So there you go. Good on you for growing. Life is too short to hold grudges. I hope they get over it. Yeah, you know what? I tried to bury the hatchet with one woman and she buried it in my back. I actually said that to her. I was like, I tried to bury the hatchet and I noticed that you just buried it in my back. And she says, stop talking to me forever, you bully, you freak, you awful person. And I was like, okay. Oh, what was I? Oh, I was the most, you know how people project and they say the thing that they hate about themselves? I had that. And they were like, you're the most narcissistic person I've ever met. And I was like, you need to, good luck with that. Good luck with that. But I honestly, like, they've actually been doing, this person's been doing really well in humanity was a mistake. This person's been doing really well back in Australia. And honestly, like, I'm waiting to get angry or mad or jealous. And I was like, nah, they faked it till they made that. And I actually really respect that. I respect the hustle. If they weren't good at their job, but they would have been found out by now. So they're doing something right. And I was like, I'm impressed. Like, good on them. They'll never be happy for me. I don't think they have the capacity for it. But yeah, no, I admired them for that. So anyway, thank you for the warm welcome. Been following you on years. Yes, YouTube. We usually do that, but I've gone over to the purple side with Twitch, and it's a lot of fun over here. I like, oh, actually, you know what I should be doing? Because something that StreamYard doesn't do is bring up the notifications when cool shit happens in the, I'm going to burp up my salad lunch. Yeah. I'm going to pull up the video, what are you called? Stream manager. And read out if anyone's subbed. Look at this, we do. We've got follows and shit. Dogsy, thank you so much for the follow 13 minutes ago. Sorry I didn't catch it when it happened. I've got 9 screens open right now and 4 angles of my face at any given time, which I don't need to see because it's been a 12-hour day. There it is. Miss Necromancer gifted a sub to Clever Girl. Oh, I love that. Isn't that the sweetest? STS gifted a sub to M the Cartographer. Look at everyone being cute there. And then a poll was suggested. Yeah, we got onto that. I don't even know. Gory, did we do a poll? Did that happen? Do we have any mods on there? We just got this one. Soza. Largo Sensei. Thank you so much for the follow. And Gibson, I really love having you in here. Jedi Thug. Oh, that was 4 hours ago. Eek, my bad. Salad Lunch is a great band name. I'm going to bury this not in a back. Well, if she's a narcissist, you not giving her the reaction is the best revenge you could have. Yeah. Yeah. You know, when someone's trying to sling something at you and you're like, oh, sweetie. Okay. But not reacting is, a big thing that I only learned sort of last year when, you know, the world shut down and you couldn't run away from the shit that you were trying not to face. One of them for me was how to not be so reactionary, because I'm a very emotional person, and that has been a game changer. Yeah, apparently we had someone suggest put a poll up. We could do a poll. We could do a poll. Hell yeah. Let's do a pole dance. At that pole dancing. Yeah, except Aaron, we didn't have Mr. Roger in Australia. That's why we're all. we. I think I'm gonna get flagged. I can't say that word. Yeah, we didn't have Mr. Rogers. Who redeemed it? BMFK7777 redeemed the poll. Listen, hi, I know Econex, you're new around here. Sup, I'm Australian. And I love and I miss that word so much because it just doesn't have weight. Words don't have weight as much in Australia. We just don't. You know, the whole sticks and stones may break your bones, but names will never hurt you. And your parents would say that over and over again where people were so cruel to you and you're like, it hurts. That one doesn't. Oh, that's... I don't want to toot my horn in this. Oh, you can subscribe. I dropped a C bump and got a sub. Nice. But Sprinkles, I want to give you recognition because we actually did get to meet in real life, which was really, really cool. And I want to acknowledge that. He said, Maude, I met you once and that meeting was enough to tell me how genuine of a person you are. And people can be jealous of that. The thing I will say on that is I didn't realize this, but there's a moment in your life when you realize that what other people think of you doesn't matter. And I hit that at 20, which is almost unheard of. And I thought that everyone kind of did around their early 20s. And no, I have people in like their mid 30s say, yeah, no, I still haven't had that. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm constantly like anxious about interactions and what people think of me, and it keeps me up at night. But the negative side effect of that is, yeah, there you go. I didn't know this. Yeah. And it's not necessarily like a confidence. It's just a self-acceptance. I have completely accepted who I am, my negatives, my positives. Like I just kind of understand that, yeah, okay, I get it. And I'm okay with it. But what that ends up doing is that I don't have people pleaser tendencies. And if someone's trying to connect with me, and the big reason why I get called intimidating is because I have a self-acceptance. And a friend put it so eloquently because I was getting a bit bummed out that I was getting called intimidating. I'm like, I like to smile. I want to be friendly. I want to be inviting. I understand I'm 5'11", so that can be intimidating. And they said, no, Maude, that's not it. It's just that you don't need anyone else. You don't need anyone else. You want friends. You want people in your life. You don't need anyone. And that makes people like kind of feel unnecessary, if that makes sense. Like, and that can hurt sort of like their worth because you don't need them. And that can put people's sort of not insecurities, but it can cause a massive disarray. And I thought that was a really interesting take. But again, my self-acceptance is like, this is awful. Posture check. I've recognized that I don't want to change who I am to be accommodating for other people. Does that make sense? And I've had that a lot. I've talked to friends where it's like, yeah, when I first saw you on set, you're like, oh my God, this girl knows her shit. Oh my God, that's so intimidating. And my first thought was, I'm not going to dumb myself down to make you feel better about you. I learnt my shit. I know my shit. I earned my spot. And I'm not going to alter or change who I am to accommodate for your, I think insecurity is a really harsh word, but does that, yeah. Anyway, I'm intimidating because of that. And that's okay. I was like, okay, I'll accept that. I don't love it, but I get it. There you go. Anyway, the height thing, you're very tall. Yeah. D&D has vicious mockery, so words can indeed hurt. Yeah. You just start laughing yourself to death. Econex, I'm numb because of bullying too. Oh man, people can be freaking cruel, but bullies exist because they feel shit about themselves and they don't know how to heal, so they hurt. Hurt people, but it's true. It really is true. The Econex saying, oh, I feel this. If I go too far in the other direction, though, I'll end up like Kaz. I hear you on that. And I kind of understand Kaz's wall, but Kaz, I mean, I had an issue with vulnerability where it's like I associated vulnerability as a little bit of a weakness. But my thing is, if you show someone your scars, people can use that against you. And that's what I didn't like. So it was a trust and then the wall comes down kind of thing. So in that way, yeah, that's kind of a survival mechanism. But for Kaz does not want to feel He does not want to love. He has almost shut off who he is inside as a way to cope. And oh yeah. Come on in, Kat. I'm like rant.
You said he doesn't want to love, and I almost feel like, especially in this part of the book, and relating to a quote that Aaron put in here too, is that it seems like he kind of wants to, but he really doesn't know how, and so the only way he knows how to love in this instance is to push someone away so he doesn't
He protects
hurt
them further.
Yeah.
And I think
exactly.
what's stacked up against him, which again, like this is why Kaz is one of my favorite characters. His backstory is that he felt the bloating skin of the corpse of his brother rubbing up against him when he was on a barge. Like he is disgusted by the touch of human skin. So the amount of like physical walls, metaphorical walls, like this guy is just an armored tank, and he covers up his skin so he doesn't have to touch anyone, because that brings back this very vulnerable response that he has. And I think a beautiful moment in this book is where he lets Inej cup his face and her bare hand is on his flesh cheek. And there's a part of him which sinks into that feeling because he's just wanted Inej so much. And she's trying to literally reach out and connect with him, but in a physical way, as well as an emotional way. And by him sort of like trying to process that, yes, he wants this, but he's also really trying to overcome this stigma that he has with touch. I loved hearing both sides of that, because Kaz is here going, oh my gosh, I've always wanted this. And like, I'm so scared in this moment. And Inej is going, oh, he's like visibly like, what is the word? Not impulsed, not convulsed. He's repulsed. He's repulsed by my touch. And she's just like, oh my God, I tried. And he can't even deal with this. But you hear that internal struggle of him trying to share, but that wall just being jammed up, and that inner sort of battle that he had. That was really cool. I liked it. Clever girl. Inej has difficulty with intimacy too because of what happened to her at the menagerie. Yeah, she had a survival technique as well. She just had to.
Kate.
Yeah, Kate. Hey, welcome.
Thank you. I just want to go back to what you were saying about Kaz and the touching, like with the skin-to-skin contact, where in most other books, that would have been like the moment where they kissed, or it was like, this is the romance moment.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, in a lot of especially YA romances, it's like the dude is always like brooding and tortured, and the woman has to do all the emotional labor, and then he, you know, is not an asshole for 1 second, and that's like, oh, you know, the defining moment of the romance. But Inej, even though, you know, they both want this, and she's like in love with him too, she would not accept that. Where it was like, I don't just want you not throwing up when I touch you. Like, that's not enough for me.
That was a
Like,
beautiful
like,
moment.
We'll have you without your armor or not at all.
But she even said, like, leading up to that, where they were talking about their futures and what they were going to do, and before he's like, I want you to stay. I want you to. I want you. And immediately she just has this thought where she's like, why would I settle for like barely decent? Like,
yeah, exactly.
What was
And
that line?
I
It was
feel
beautiful.
like most other YA books, she would have accepted that.
She would have melted into it. She would have got a taste.
Like, oh, he really loves me. Oh, this is true love. Oh, this is like the height of romance. But she's like, no, I have my own life. I'm not settling for your crumbs. You got to deal with your shit. Like, it's perfect because a lot of people, not just women, but people don't realize those emotions even at my age. I'm 40, and there's a lot of people who are my age who, you know, still don't know their own worth in a relationship, who, you know, fall into the, you know, that kind of thing where for a character that's young to know her own self-worth, it makes her the best character.
I completely agree.
Model character too.
Yes. Any other women that want to unmute and say a hell yeah to that as well?
I actually also saw, I hope I'm not stealing that this is Kat. I saw Gibson say that Inesh's sense of self is rock solid too. And I think that's also something that's super rare in YA books. And I love Inesh for that. And I think I absolutely fell in love with the character when she said that line that Kate said, that I'll have you without armor. And I loved her from that point forever.
I'm so glad you brought that up, Kate. That's such a fantastic thing. You are so right. When someone has these unwavering, relentless feelings towards someone who is undeserving and has consistently proven that they're undeserving of those feelings, when they show the bare minimum of a direction sort of like into decency, yeah, you're right. They drop everything and they're like, see, they're the man that I think they can be. And it's like, no. 1% of the time you got what you wanted out of that, but 99% of the time they consistently showed you who they were and it wasn't a good person. So you're exactly right. Because, you know, as the reader, you know, especially with YA, we are conditioned to like just lean into that romance. And you're right. It was a really powerful moment when she was like, no.
We also have just as in terms of all of our art, like all of our books, all of our movies, all of our songs, love can solve everything. And it is not true. So I like seeing when characters, it's like, I love you, but it is not enough.
STS is saying it's a problem in anime and manga as well. It's how it's portrayed all the time. Avery, do you want to jump on with this? I absolutely love the way that Kaz and Inej are written.
Yeah, just like what everybody's been saying so far, just with like they're more realistic in the way that they interact with each other, and they have this like deep understanding of each other, even though they both know that like Inej knows that Kaz doesn't probably won't ever fully lower his guard, and she admits that she probably won't either. And I just and they clearly care about each other, but they're both too like terrified to do anything about it because of the walls that they built, and what everybody's been saying so far about how that's never portrayed that way in other fiction. So it's like a breath of fresh air to see this almost like this more realistic exploration of that.
Inej is an amazing role model, absolutely. And I love what Clever Girl said here. Kaz also believes his own mythos about being the bastard of the barrel and dirty hands. He doesn't feel worthy. So you have a guy who's pushing her away because he knows he can't love her the way that she deserves to be loved. And by her also saying, well, yeah, I'm going to push you away as well because you need to step up to be the man that I want you to be and that I deserve. So I like that, but it's also a really frustrating scenario because we don't get what we want out of it, do we? We don't have a happy ending. We don't have, two people that want to be together, but it's for the right reasons. And I like harnessing that as well. Aaron makes a really good point. Read another type of relationship in another story where a character once told the other, it's all or nothing. You will have all of me or you will have nothing. And that's exactly the same in the relationships as well. You can't be like, oh, but this part of them's really great. It's like you don't choose that part. It comes with all the other shit. So you have to take all of a person. Yeah, I like that. And the cartographer. Also good to see a character who recognizes that they can't help someone else, even if that person is someone that they deeply love and feel for. Traumatized people cannot always help fellow traumatized people. And it is not your job to rescue. Yep, I hear and feel that one big time. And it's a really hard line to know when to keep standing by them, knowing that when they get out of it, not if, you've always stood by them and you'll always be there. But then you also have to recognize if they're hurting you in the process and to protect yourself. Say I if you've been in that situation. I. Oh, really? There it is. Yeah. This is, I thought there'd be a lot more eyes for that one. Oh, truth's gone. Yep. Yeah, it's a real common thing. It's a fork in the road, and you have to do what's best for you at the end of the day. That's a great comment. Thank you, Michelle. There is a parallel somewhere between Kaz and Inej and Darkling and Alina, I think. Gibson, jump on in. I want to pick this apart.
Yeah, for sure. So I read somewhere, I haven't really read a bunch of the Shadow and Bone stuff, just I've been picking away at it. But I read somewhere that Leigh Bardugo wrote Alina and the Darkling while she herself was going through a toxic relationship, and she was processing that through that. And there you see this man who is bad. And this woman who is trying to sorry, I don't know if I'm articulating myself very well.
No, I hear what you're saying. There's a woman who's believing the best in that guy.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And she suffers for it so much. And then there's, Kaz, who is not a good person. He's a compelling person, and he's a sort of a whirlpool of a human being. Like you kind of get pulled into him, but it's not good for you. And Inej recognizes that. And the comment about the position of power over Alina also, like, Kaz is in a weird position of power where he's acting as Per Haskell's man, and Per Haskell has bought Inej's contract, or her indenture.
Yeah.
And it's a weird it could be a power imbalance, but he doesn't let it. There's so many opportunities for Kaz to be the worst kind of bastard.
Yeah.
And he stops just short of the line. It's really interesting to me.
There are moments exactly. Sorry, I'm just having like an absolute allergy attack. My allergy attack surfaced by all the nerves in the end of my nostril itching. It's hell. But I love what you're saying with that as well, because there are moments where Kaz, in a way, could have depicted the situation like he rescued Inej from the menagerie, like that he is solely responsible for it. But then there are times where when Inej made her first kill and she's crying, she's sobbing because like a part of her humanity has broken, like she's crossed that line that you cannot come back from. And he didn't console her. He didn't help her through it. He left her alone to deal with that. And so there's still this kind of like, it's not a punishment per se, but he can't help her. He can't warm to her. He can't empathize with her. He can't, nurture her. He has to keep her cold and not necessarily broken, but detached, because that's what saved him. And so that's what he's trying to condition in her. But yeah, it's weird. It's not really his call to make on her behalf at the same time. But I love that great comment. Yeah, I think Alina had a lot more of it was a much stronger sort of victim and abuser relationship, where he had all the information, all the power, all the control, all the manipulation, and she had just stars in her eyes hoping for the best. Kat, you see this in how Inej sees her friends too. Matthias says that Nina is too much, and Inej says, you're just not enough. Oh, I love that. This is girl code. This is like, yeah, she's not the problem. You just can't accept it, or you don't know how to handle it. And I really like that as well, because the bad side of that, the non-solution, the problem of that is that Matthias would say that the solution is for Nina to tone down or to be less than, so that he feels more than, or he feels like, yeah, Kat, this is your comment. Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, you get a lot too. It's something that I've experienced too with other people saying, you're too much, you're too low, you're too this, you're whatever. And for Inej to just say, maybe you're not enough. It's maybe you need to step up, and she doesn't need to bring herself down to your level. You need to get it together.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes, Miss Necromancer. Inej is the height of role model. I, a woman, refuse to do a man, heavy emotional lifting. Everyone expects women to carry the emotional baggage of others, spouses, children, parents, and I'm sick of it. Yes, I love that. Knox, I see that you've unmuted. Did you want to chime in?
I didn't realize I was unmuted.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think this is also it's we see it from our own point of view, and I see some of that same baggage carrying being expected of some men, but that the dynamic is so different. There's so much. Well, I mean, there's a difference between men and women, but that expectation that men are supposed to be so staid and strong and not have baggage, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I hear you on that too. I like the different perspectives that we're providing. So thank you for that, Knox. If I can change him, if you have to say that in a relationship, just throw the relationship in the garbage. I love this. I feel like she was written so well in this case too, because you'd expect a lazy writer to have just had to be cold and uncaring, but she's a compassionate person who loves very much still. Yeah, I love this conversation. I'm a little bit behind the comments just because I wanted to sort of take time to really nourish this particular theme because I think it's so important. Something that I had in the notes as well was, I'm going to go over the quotes in a little bit, but one of the discussion points was, where are you? Basically, the importance of the characters and the learning lessons that we have, but what were the important things that each of the characters brought? And we have absolutely gone to town on why Inej is such an amazing written character and so important and so spectacular. Fun fact, I don't know if anyone was there for my Elder Scrolls Online stream that happened on Tuesday. Jake, who I stream with, Jake Stormoen, who's an actor in The Outpost on Sci-Fi Outside of America. He's going to kill me. What's he on? Gory. What's he on? Over here. He's on a show. He's on a channel. Don't clip this and show him. He's on this great show called The Outpost, 3 seasons. The 4th's coming out soon, so you should get involved with that. But the character, Amita, I should have known this. The actress who plays Inej, she's in The Outpost. And so I was like, Inej in the show is awesome. And he's like, yeah, I want to try and get on Shadow and Bone. And I was like, yeah, you fucking do. But also, can we get the lovely woman whose name I'm not getting right now, but chat will tell me in a second. It is Amita, right? Amita. Right. Amita. He was like, it's on Sci-Fi over here. Yeah, Amita Suman. That's it. Jake's like, yeah, do you want me to just text her and see if she's free and wants to jump on to the chat tomorrow night? And I was like, I mean, yeah, but like, I couldn't make her do that. But like, probably have to. Oh, Kale, a big hello. Hey, I'm chatting books, bud. We're talking Shadow and Bone and Six of Crows and all this fun stuff. Yeah, all right, Gory, keep in your pants. But I get it. Yeah, we'll have to get her on the show as well because I get it. And I will do my best for you. I will do my best. But how cool would it have been if we had a meter on the show? I want to get that right. Just kidding, says Six of Crows is so good. We haven't heard from you already in the Discord, just haven't been active lately. We're so great that you're back. If you're in the Discord and you're able to, and you have access to #reading, being a Patreon backer, you can actually jump in the chat. Look, on 3, everyone's going to say hi. 1, 2, 3.
Hi.
I mean, yeah, we didn't practice that, but they're all here, which will be good. What did you give? Just kidding. What did you give Six of Crows out of 5? Because we're averaging like 4.75 over here collectively amongst like 10, 15 of us. So it's pretty cool. I want to hear that from you. So the importance of each of the characters is what we're going through at the moment. The importance of Inej. What an amazing female role model. Okay. All right. Just kidding. 17. Okay. 4.5. Just for small personal things. Okay. I respect that. We also need to get
spoilers, but I was reading Crooked Kingdom, and the 2 books are as one. It's really interesting to look at it from Inej's point of view. It's a saga for her. I mean, there's more to be read. So I hope everyone will pick up Crooked Kingdom because there's even more Inej in it.
We are going to be reading that next. So in 3 weeks' time, we'll start the first for that one. So we've got 3 weeks to get started on Crooked Kingdom because in the interim, we have to read, we don't have to, if you'd like to, read Princess of Mars, which is the John Carter book for Nerdist Book Club. And we're doing a watch along this Saturday. I believe it's 8 p.m. Pacific time. Because we're all vaccinated now. We're going to go over to Hector's And I actually got tested because I'm on set this week. Oh, the two books meshed together so perfectly. Oh, yay. I love hearing that. I'm so excited for Crooked Kingdom. Yeah, we're going to be doing a watch party as well. So after this, we're having a little bit of a palate cleanser with Princess of Mars, and then straight back into it for Crooked. I'm literally doing that face, aren't I? Okay. Yeah, we'll have a heck to hang out. Yeah. In-person hangs. You don't understand. I haven't been in the same room as these people, my fellow book clubbians, for over a year. I think I dropped off cake to Hector when my friend back home bought me a giant birthday cake, and I cut off a slice and dropped it over. But we were masked up, 6 feet apart. I didn't come inside the house at all. I was basically in the driveway. Gibson, yes, keeping us back on track. What lesson did we learn from these characters, and why was each character so important? Let's chat Nina. Nina was also really interesting because she's so larger than life in a way that isn't explored very thoughtfully in YA as well. I found her and Inez to be very important voices. Yes, I know that Sarah J. Maas initially copped a lot of flack for how she described trigger warning eating disorders in that series, especially when she was very weak because she was in the mines, life sentence basically. Slave till she died in a way, and she spoke about how her body was trying to recover from that. But a lot of YA, everyone's beautiful. Everyone's tiny and perfect. And you look around and you're like, wow, there is another 12 out of 10 looking person. This person over here, oh my God, the best looking person I've ever seen in my life. Nina shines. And I love the fact that like she snuck toffee onto the ship because bitch wants to eat, because the food is delicious. And Nina just embodies that, pun intended. But I love that she's celebrated for her larger than life personality, which fits her very curvaceous, beautiful body, and it is celebrated. And I think that's important. Yes, Gibson.
Sorry, I just find also in YA, if you're not feminine in a way that's, like I'm not like other girls, it's very it's demonized.
Yeah.
You see it in a lot of other books where Nina's very feminine and she's unapologetic about it, and it's amazing. And as a plus size person myself, it's nice to get that little hint of representation.
Yes. And I hope it's not a cop out me kind of championing this, because I understand that, I'm not a bigger girl, but I have a much, can I say that about my mum? I have a very curvy mum. My mum has the best hugs in the world. But I'm also someone that doesn't truly believe in dieting at all. And I think that celebrating exactly who you are and not conforming anything that you do, which she doesn't. But you're exactly right, Gibson. I love that you brought that up, because a big trope in a lot of fantasy is weaponizing flirtation. And it's usually from like a rogue or an assassin character where they have to seduce to sort of maim and kill. In Nina's instance, she does use her femininity and her like flirtatious confidence as a lure. And what happens? She got completely outmatched with that. She had someone play into her ploys and then swip the script on her. And I thought that was really well done, where she was like kind of so determined to get information or to use that prowess to kind of overcome this man in the way that she's most confident. It didn't work. But I just love that she's confident in her sexuality, which just unravels Matthias in a very negative way. He's like, stop doing that. I hate the way you talk. And she's just like, suck it. This is me. Like, I talk like this. I do all these things. She's just so comfortable in who she is. And I think that is amazing. Yes, here we go. All bodies are beautiful. Gory loves her body. Yes, you should. You are beautiful. Nina is so strong. Yes, I love all this. Nina being true to herself is the best quality that she has. Nina loves her waffles. And that's what got Matthias into jail in the first place. So I think that honestly, like Nina's representation of being unapologetically her and it being received positively, instead of what Gibson was saying, where a lot of women in these books that are unapologetically themselves punished for it, looked down upon, it cheapens them, it is like casts a negative light. So that is something. The characters all get to fail at something too, which you don't see a lot of. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why Mary Sue is such a garish term behind it, but it's trying to understand how someone became inexperienced to very experienced in not hitting them 10,000 hours kind of deal. So I think failing is a very normal part of life. We've all done it. Yeah. Miss Necromancer, I mean, I've never even seen you, but you glow from your words. Like, I have endless compliments for you, and I hope you know that. Even though you rib me a lot. In fact, you rip me apart more than anyone else does, that there's still a respect behind it that I have for you. But I think that you have a beauty that is incredibly rare. And like I said, I haven't even seen you. So I hope you take kindred spirits right here. Did we get a raid or something? We just had double numbers all of a sudden, and I feel unworthy because we're just having a little cuddle puddle all of a sudden here. What is powerful stream just rated? Thank you, Kale, for dropping everyone into this book chat. Yay, book club. Everyone needs book club in their lives. I really appreciate that raid. And Econex, oh, you subbed before. And I said thank you for that. Thank you for using your Prime. I really appreciate that. Monanimous, what a great name. Thank you so much for the follow. Really appreciate that. I should probably get that compliment, but thank you. I do appreciate that. If you're just joining us, as a big hi to Kale. Can someone drop in I think I should be able to do it. I don't know how to do it. If I keep saying I don't know how to do it, will people understand that I don't know how to do it? Does that work? I know how to do it. Oh, no. This is a language that especially Kate and I talk because I'm Australian and she's Canadian, but making fun of someone while respecting them is a power of a friendship, full stop. Just a friendship, full stop. Here we go. Maude, since Wylan didn't have much screen time in the first half, I'm curious about your feelings towards his character. Last week, you didn't have much to say about him because he was essentially a background character. Yeah, he was. Before I get stuck into that, hello, friends of Kale. My name's Maude Garrett. I'm a fellow host as well. I run a company called Geek Bomb where we talk about all things playing, watching, and reading. And in the reading component, I do a book club. Usually it's with Nerdist Book Club, but that has gone to monthly instead of weekly. So in the interim, I love chatting to the community about books we want to read. And this book at the moment is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. And if you've seen Shadow and Bone, which is trending in the top 10 on Netflix, the 5 of the characters that you see in that, they form the Six of Crows, which is the book that we're talking about. So if you've read that, make yourself known in the comments. We are nerding out about it all. If you haven't, this probably won't make much sense to you, but I really appreciate you stopping on by. And if you followed, mwah, big love, because I play video games as well. But in this particular instance with Wylan, yeah, this is a privileged, unloved kid, and this is a really cool thing. Let's talk about what we learned with Wylan. He has everything. He has all this money, and this is a big, I mean, it's not, I don't want to call it a trope because it's a reality of a lot of families like that. The more money you're in, the more neglect you tend to face. It's this thing where it's like my parents don't love me or they don't appreciate me or I'm not a priority. They are very, very concerned with other things that will never be me. I'm going to bring up Bridgerton, and I feel like I'm reading the room enough to think that that's a good idea. But the Duke of Hastings, I believe it is. It's that kind of mentality as well. He's got the Kaz thing where it's like, I got really hurt by someone, so I'm not going to pass that on to someone, and the buck stops with me, and I'm going to make that decision for everyone in my life. But it's also he was ridiculed by his father, and he was told that he was meaningless and worthless, and that has irreparable damage. Like it has, irreversible effects, basically. And we're talking about different types of trauma. And this is a fear of abandonment and a trauma of, neglect. So hearing Wylan, the fact that he's 15 and he's really switched on in a way, and I hope that this is a conversation that we can have again with a lot of compassion. But with this being on the spectrum, there is usually a genius level at some things and a developmental issue in other places. For example, my brother was doing matrix level math when he was 15, but he never developed an English vocabulary or spelling past a 7th grade. So I really see that with Wylan, where he's quite shy. I actually think he's really switched on. I don't think he's like negatively affected in any particular way. But the only thing is negatively affecting is the lack of love that he's had in his life. But he's a genius in terms of blowing up stuff, components. He's your alchemist. He's very clever in that. He saved Jesper in a really great way where Jesper is like, I want to have control of this situation. You stay there and be quiet. And then Jesper gets in a spot of bother. And then Wylan starts singing the Fjerdan national anthem to get the guards distracted. And it's like, so he's got this confidence. He's got these street smarts. All he doesn't have is someone to love him. And I thought that it was a really sad but beautiful moment at the end where he decides and accepts Kaz's idea of being tailored to look like Kue Yorbo, just to prove a point and to win a bet. So he bets Kaz. He's like, no, I'm telling you right now, my dad doesn't love me and he doesn't give a shit about me. And Kaz goes, I just don't believe that. I don't understand how that's possible. And the only way that, like, when that whole discussion goes down with his father and Kaz and his father trying to fuck Kaz over is Wylan just turns around and goes, yeah, you owe me money. I told you you didn't love me. And, just like that sort of like coping mechanism. But I think his moments with Jesper are really beautiful. And I feel like he realized that everyone had earned their place in the dregs and in the Six of Crows. Like, they'd earned their place. They either had Grisha abilities, they're an assassin, they were a sharpshooter, like everyone had their role. And I feel like he didn't feel like he'd earned his place. So by completely tailoring himself and sacrificing his identity, that was him earning his stripes and his place in the Six of Crows. And I really liked that beautiful moment. Thank you, Miss Necromancer, for bringing that up. There's been a bunch of comments because I am ranting because I am tired. Commonwealth kid things. Oh, that was for us. Yeah. We got queens on our currencies. What happened to HHHH? I really missed that podcast. Yeah, I can't wink, but hold that thought. There's been something on my to-do list to do for a while, and I got to write that email, but I hear you is all I'm going to say about that. Yes, Chris said it very eloquently. Notice it's gone monthly. We need more geekiness than that. So I'm just picking up the slack a little bit. Yeah. We learn more about Wylan in Crooked Kingdom. I can't wait to read it next with everyone. It's going to be so good. The characters who are the characters who are most aware of their flaws embody the most strength, I think. An Edge comes to mind. I love that. Also, that ending with him finding out definitively that his father doesn't love him simply because he can't read. Hey, he might be dyslexic, but he's capable of so much else. Dad just throws him under the bus. Yeah. This is this thing that can happen where it's like, I want to basically mold my child and steer them on a path that I want for them, and I'm determining what's best for them. And if they don't walk the path that I've laid for them, then they're a failure. I mean, the real life scenarios for that, a lot of people whose parents are in the medical industry and doctors, and, you have that sort of, well, you have to follow the family tradition. Parents have got a company, construction company. You have to step up and go into the business. And it's this thing where it's like, I don't know if I want to do that. Well, then you're a failure. It's a real thing. But the whole thing about neglect and trauma and, awful responses from relationships that are not happy, that it doesn't discriminate. It seems like when you step out and look in, that, the wealthy, the 1%ers have everything so perfectly, but they've just broken in a different type of way a lot of the time. I went to a private all-girls school. I saw it a lot. They were unhappy. Finding out that the letters were an insult. Yeah, the penny dropped for Kaz. And I think because Kaz, we don't really know about his parents, but Inej, you know, she's been separated from her parents and she's like, it might take me a little bit to get back in with my family, but I still want to be a part of my family and I still miss my mom and my dad and these beautiful moments like so much. Like in the first part of the book, hearing Inej, you know, talk about how her dad learnt her mom's favorite flower, things like that. Like there's a lot of love there. And then even Kaz he didn't think that anyone could be capable of what Wylan's dad did. And this is a guy who is called Dirty Hands. like he's trying to absolutely abolish his soul, but he still didn't even think that could happen. Yeah, exactly. If they're not the perfect son, they'd rather they didn't exist. Yeah. I didn't read him as being dyslexic. Yeah, that makes absolute sense though. That's just me sort of like not grasping it completely. But I read him as him being dyslexic. I've got a friend who's severely dyslexic with words, but he's brilliant in pretty much everything else. Yeah, the brain's a really funny thing. But a lot of the time, like if one thing doesn't work at a sort of like a standard level, then the other things kind of like accommodate for it. And so yeah, but neither's right or wrong. It's just doing things in a different way. I have dyslexia. The more tired I get, especially reading teleprompters, or if I'm talking too fast and can't think. A big thing that I would do on live radio all the time would be I would confuse or I would combine two very similar turns of phrase. So to get the ball rolling or to get the ball rolling or to get things moving or keep things moving, I would say to get the ball moving. And they're like, do you mean to get the ball rolling? And I'm like, yeah. I mean a couple of things at once. The worst one was I was so mad at my brother. He owed me $1, but I didn't know if I was going to say you owe me $1. Oh, wait. No, I was so angry at my brother and I was like, this provides context. Stop the story. You've already started it though. I was really angry at my brother and I was going to punch him or I was going to bash him. I didn't know. So I walked up to him and I said, I'm going to pash you. And a pash in Australia is a passionate kiss, which means open mouth and with tongue. So at 9 years old, I declared to my brother that I was going to pash him. And I was like, no, I mean bash, I mean punch. And he's just like, please don't pash me. I was like, no. So anyway, that's like how my dyslexia comes into play. Numbers as well. If it's 4 numbers, I'll switch the last 2 or I'll switch the middle 2 every single time. So like when Instagram's like, you need a password, here's your 6-letter password. I'm like, oh God. Really have to focus on those sorts of things. Yeah, I know. A host with dyslexia. But it's mild and I barely even noticed it. So it is okay. It is okay. Sorry, I'm going back. I keep talking a lot. I love the part where Jesper was mad that he might not get to have to face. Oh, his face changed back because he liked his stupid face. I felt like Jesper was really seeing Wylan in a way that nobody else did ever in his life. Kate, can you expand on that for me?
Well, yeah, like Wylan is very much a character that when he wasn't useful to his father anymore, he was essentially like invisible and he's being replaced now. He was a non-entity in that family when he became something that didn't fit, that mold like we were talking about where it's like that generational legacy in rich kid families. So he became very invisible and no one even knew until Kaz told them that he was even from that family or like he was just, everyone complained about, oh, he's not even the best Bond dude that we've got. Like, why are we bringing this nobody with us? Like, he's nothing.
Yeah.
And we even, as the reader, don't see him because he doesn't have his own chapters.
Yeah.
So we have to see him through mostly Jesper, because Jesper's the one that's usually like stuck, quote unquote, babysitting him. And that's the way it feels, even in the narration, that he's just, wait, he's there. So through the story, we kind of see, wow, this guy has like a lot of, he been to the ice court so he could keep Matthias honest.
Yep.
Like he could speak all these languages, like he was good at so he was starting to show, even to us, the reader, all these different facets of his personality, opposed to just being like the escort mission character, like he's a video game.
Yes, the NPC.
That you constantly are dying to say.
Do something. Try not to die. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just when Jesper's like, but what if you can't get changed back? like, because he's wearing the face of someone who is arguably the better version of him, like kind of like this generational wealth kid in Kuwait, that he's like a Grisha and a scientist kid, and he's like, you know, he can follow his father's formulas. So he's wearing the face of someone who maybe he should have been.
I didn't even see it like that. Dad's prodigy.
But you're not yourself. And so that's the first time anyone's like, but I like you for you. Not because you're a merchant son, not because of your currency as like against Van Eck. That's how Kaz sees him, right? He just sees him as leverage. But Jesper sees him.
Do you know what I saw that as? And I think it's the bias of, or like the argument that Shadow and Bone has been trying to make by depicting sort of like Shu as discriminated. I thought Jesper's like, what are you doing? You're literally giving up your privilege. That's how I saw that. I was like, and that's why Jesper kind of, well, I mean, this is another great question that I have, but I really want to acknowledge Clever Girl's comment right now, which is I've got 2 sons with learning disabilities who are so brilliant in other ways, and I loved seeing this in a character. Yes. Representation has done, like Leigh Bardugo has done an incredible job at not forced representation in a way where it all happens with such purpose. That is just beautiful. So Kaz having a walking stick, apparently Leigh Bardugo, uses a walking stick. So seeing that representation. Wylan with this particular instance where he can't read, you've got Asuli, Zemini, you have, you know, all walks of life. You know, they're shining the ugly mirror on white supremacy because it exists too. But then also showing that it needs to be overcome and you do not have to think in that way. You can break free from it. But I think that, yeah, I agree with this completely. It's been done in really, really beautiful ways. Yeah. And I'm sure your sons are beautiful, and I'd love to hear the things that they are like excelling in and what they love, because I think that's a really beautiful thing as well. If I could love video games and Formula One the way my brother does, Formula One, next level. I was like, you know what? He's brilliant at it and he's learnt everything. That's why I'm really into video games still, so I can have a relationship with my brother and talk to him about stuff that matters to him. Kaz, in contrast to Wylan, has actually had familial love. Their lots in life are completely swapped. Yeah, they are polar opposite. Yeah, I get that. He had family, he had love, he had everything. His father looked out for him. He had, God, that story sucked. I hated listening to it again, hearing juvenile, very naive boys get ripped off by Pekka fucking Rollins. I'm a little bit behind in chat. I apologize for that. That's why Wylan fits in well with the Crows, because the Crows bring out the best in him, which is funny because like, I think this is what Kate was saying before. The Crows kept saying how they weren't, that he wasn't, that he was dead weight, that it was, you know, he wasn't bringing out the best. But Wylan really earned his place, which was that beautiful moment that they had. The one thing that brings us all together is that we're all broken in our own special way. Yes and no. I think someone once said to a friend of mine, your scars are what make you beautiful, because they tell the story of you. But I think broken is a objective term, because broken means that it cannot be fixed or it isn't fixed. So I hear what you're saying though. I totally get it. Addiction. Oh, let's talk about this. He is a little bit. So the lesson that Jesper taught us is that addiction leaves you in a permanent state of I had notes for this, but I completely agree with what you're trying to say, Clever Girl. And if anyone wants to jump in about this, basically Jesper is the reason why Pekka Rollins knew about the job. And he kind of accidentally sold out the crew in a bid to show that he was good for his debt. And when you are, oh yeah, go. Who's that? Kate. Yeah, let's go. Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, with the gambling addiction thing, it's a really common addiction, but it's not one that's like shown a lot in like media, in terms of like movies, TV, stuff like that. But I know in my area that I live in, and there's probably a lot of people who can agree with this, there is like a huge issue with VLT addiction, video lottery terminals. So like the slot machines that are just like the button press, not like the kind of typical Vegas ones, but just they're in every bar, in a lot of restaurants. I went into a pub once that they had a bank machine right beside one. And it was just so insidious and gross.
Great.
Just so many people will, throw everything away. And when you see homeless people begging on the street for money, you figure, I was like, I'm not going to give it to them because they're going to spend it on like drugs or alcohol. They're going straight for a VLT machine. It's like gambling addiction is just, it destroys so many people, and it's one that doesn't get talked about a lot. And so I really appreciate that it's like, he didn't, and because he's not malicious about the way he dropped like how Pecker Rollins knew. He didn't mean to tell them.
No. And this is what Aaron said really well.
He was like, I was just trying to get away from, like, I had to tell him something.
Yeah, or I die. Yeah. But this is a thing where it's like, you can have the best of intentions, but addictions hurt the people around you, whether you want it to or not. And it's in different ways. I have a girlfriend at the moment dealing with a relative who is stealing, who is, in accidents, is not in a good place at all. And the safest place for them was jail. So, and that's really hard because you feel like a failure, being like, I don't want this for them, but it's actually the best option. And I think, I do think that exploring addiction and its compulsive behavior, it's not impulsive, it's compulsive. It is, and I had a really big chat with my mum, who was, a drug and alcohol psychologist, talking about addiction. I have a girlfriend at the moment whose husband's relapsing. So I struggle to understand sort of like that compulsive attitude, because like, a lot of the time it's like, if you shouldn't do it, don't do it. But that is a very privileged attitude, because there are a lot of people who have an all or nothing attitude and they apply that to everything. And it's not just a gambling addiction that we hear about. It's also the Judaparam, which is a substance abuse. And it's like, if you try it once, you're done. And people still do it, or they're forced to do it, or it's, used against them. But the exploration of addiction in this book was really, really well handled as well. God, it's so multifaceted, like so much was handled. But I agree with you. I agree, like talking about the different types of addiction. Gambling, Jesper is chasing adrenaline. There's a reason why he feels most alive when he's in a fight. He doesn't even want to kill people. It's not that he's about that. He just says that when you were in a life or death situation, that's when you feel alive. And that's, he had a big win early on at a table and he's chasing that high. And I think it's also different for Nina, who was just like, I know that this is highly addictive and can kill me, but I need to do this to save my friends and have like, this massive amount of power. Two incredibly unique circumstances. Yeah, there you go. Jotaparam is very much the rise of meth out of something like cocaine, both drugs, but cocaine is natural and not necessarily addictive the first time, but meth is purely chemicals and made in a lab, and is devastating to the body and usually instantly addictive. I actually was on TikTok, and this kid a young guy made a really interesting TikTok, which was, what's something that's not cool for the poor but really awesome for the rich? Or like that whole thing where it's like, it's like the same thing, but it's treated differently with the poor to the rich. And this guy showed sort of like the chemical compound breakdown of cocaine. And he's like, this is what crack looks like. This is what cocaine looks like. It's exactly the same. But it's, the underprivileged neighborhoods that are addicted to crack. And if you're caught with 5 grams of it, you get sentenced. I'm kind of paraphrasing, but to make the argument, 5 grams of crack, you're sentenced to 5 years of jail. The equivalent is, if you are caught, you have to be caught with 500 grams of cocaine. to be in jail for 5 years. So there's a huge discrepancy between the two. And apparently the law was made knowing that, you know, to quote them, you know, your white hedge fund boys were all doing cocaine and the underprivileged communities were doing and had access to crack. So it's like that ingrained sort of like classist bias was in place. But then let's just really reiterate this. Cocaine is still bad. Don't do it. Don't do drugs. But yeah, it's interesting to kind of like see just the nature versus nurture. If your surroundings are impacting that. Jesper came from a family where his dad was a little bit scared of his abilities, but he turned to like the streets and a life of crime essentially to kind of find a fix and to feel alive. Yeah, I don't know. There's just a lot to. Also, don't vape. Yeah. Here we go. Don't vape. It's one of the coping mechanisms. Yes, a lot of people do drugs or drink alcohol to escape trauma or to suppress feelings. The addiction and the high is a better reality to whatever hellscape they are living in. Yes, but that's when it becomes a very slippery slope because it's a coping mechanism which develops into a habit, and habits are hard to break. Oh man, we hit on some topics tonight. Let's look at some. Oh, hold on. Did we get on every? Inej, yes. Kaz, yes. Wylan, yes. Jesper, yes. Who are we missing? Matthias. Yeah, Matthias. You know, he was 17 going on 18, and then he found his truth. Cool. Let's go into. Is that okay? Can we do that? Can we? There it is. Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you for picking up what I was definitely putting down. People can also use gambling and sex as addictions too. I actually read recently, saw a video recently that sex addiction is not an addiction. There was a great argument behind it, and it was backed by like studies, but they were saying it was debunking sort of like sex addiction and basically saying that it was a lie. And I remember watching it because I had a friend affected by someone who had that. And I remember watching it and I've lost it. But gambling is an addiction, yes. Yeah, I don't know about the other one. I'm questioning it now. So we've spoken about all the characters. Yep, Matthias, well done. You listened to your heart. You rewired your brainwashing. Fantastic, fantastic. Let's read some of these quotes that were collected in the document. Best quotes. Kat, have you got the document open? Because if you do you want to read that out? Otherwise, I can take it for you.
Yeah, I'm the one in here.
Yeah.
We actually already touched on both of them, but
Let's
I
just
would
do this
listen
one.
to them on repeat. So the first one I had noted, saved was the Matthias saying, "Nina is everything you say. It's too much," and Inej says, "Maybe you're just not enough."
Love it.
And then the other one that I had, I started it with, "Maybe it was because his back was to her that she could finally speak the words, 'I will have you without armor, Kazbrecker, or I will not have you at all.'" And I think if they have this line in the Shadow and Bone show, I will go feral.
I will be ruined. Yeah. It is so true. It is so true. I love, it was such a great line. Yeah, it's one of those ones that gets you.
Yeah.
Was that you as well, Kat, the third one?
No, that one wasn't me.
There's a funny quote. "If I want to watch men dig holes to fall into, I'll find myself a cemetery." Aaron, you had the next one. Do you have the doc open or did you want me to read the quote? Actually, I can probably put it in the chat.
I got it open. I just had to switch between Discord and the thing.
Oh, that was your quote, Jimmy. Got it. Yeah, good one. I like that one. Sorry, Aaron, over to you.
So the quote was, "Inej had wanted Kaz to become someone else, a better person, a gentler thief. That boy had no place here. That boy ended up starving in an alley. He ended up dead. That boy couldn't get her back. He says, 'I'm going to get my money,' he vowed, 'and I'm going to get my girl. It could never be his, not really, but he would find a way to give her the freedom he promised her so long ago. ready hands had come to see the rough work done. This is like towards the end of the book.
I know I shouldn't, but when he was like, I'm going to get my girl, I was like, yes.
Yeah, that's the part of the line that like got me.
Yeah. But then like I had a dialogue as well where it's like, hey, he's claiming her and it's not an object to be taken. And but then I was like, but he finally accepted that he wanted her enough to kind of like fight for her in that way, and even acknowledging that like I know that she can never really be mine. But like he had that.
He knows he's not worthy of her, but he's still like he knows he cares for her.
Yeah.
Accepts it.
And he owned it.
And
yeah. I liked that one. This one's mine because I'm a helpless romantic. I can hear the change in breathing every time Kaz looks at you. His breath catches like he's seeing you for the first time. That moment when Nina's just like, and you can kind of see this happening as well because it's so visual. Like she gets the Jeta Param and it's just like, zeroes in, and she can just hear and feel sort of everything that's happening around. But that particular moment was just so beautiful because Inej kind of knew it. She wasn't shocked by what she said, but she wanted to kind of move on from it really quickly, which is like, yeah, but what about Matthias? Nah, he's a steady heartbeat. He's solid all the way through. He's a consistent guy. He's unwavering. Back to Kaz. Kaz has got a little hots for you though. And she's like, So that was kind of funny. This was another one that I really liked. And it's Matthias, which is like, what? Quote by him? Are you kidding me? This is what he says to Brom. And this is his defining moment where he's shedding his past and what he's been taught. And he's no longer going to do the bidding of someone else that he doesn't believe in. The life you lead, the hatred you have, it's poison. And I can drink it no more. I liked the delivery of that. I thought it was really good. So that's a quote that I had as well. I think that's everything. I was going to talk about the twists, but we kind of talked about that. Jesper being a liability with his gambling. I agree that there wasn't enough of a consequence for it. Like if you're building out the best team, even if he's like a sharpshooter and he can shoot a coin when he flips it up in the air, he has outstanding debt everywhere. Kaz is a man that collects secrets and uses secrets as currency. Like that is his trade. And so having Jesper, who has outstanding debt, owes everyone everything, of course information is going to be the thing that he uses to keep himself alive. So that Kaz is a smart guy, but like, that's an oversight. And Jesper just needs to, I just don't think the risk outweighs the reward at all. But I guess that's addiction, right? Let's talk about where we now stand. Aaron makes a really great point. Kaz leaves Pekka Rollins alive for later. He visits him in the cell. Hey, brah, I'm going to let you go free. You fucked up. Your crew's all dead. I'm going to do this. But yeah, basically you can understand that he's like, you owe me one. I'm going to basically not kill you right now. Basically it's my crutch. When did that happen? I'm going to keep you alive for now, but you'll owe me. What I felt was really interesting, though, this is Pekka Rollins who stole his life savings and his, you're exactly right, playing that long con on Pekka. And he even says it. He's like, right, this is a man that's taken all of my savings. He's the reason why my brother's dead. He's fueled by vengeance. Kaz is fueled by vengeance. He cannot have Inej when that is his priority and always will be. And Inej is in the sort of, come on, it's like the Peter Parker, Mary J thing. People know that I love you, then you're a threat. Like they'll come for you. You're a target. With Kaz, when he realized that the pseudonym was actually Pekka Rollins, he was like, I'm not only going to come out for you, I'm not going to try and be as good as you. I'm going to try and be better than you, and I'm going to beat you at your own game so I can destroy you and take everything that you have. But what I found was really interesting is when he goes to lean into Pekka Rollins because, Inej has been taken and he doesn't have the 30 million Kruger, is that he wants to borrow, he needs access to something. Oh, who's going to help me? He asked for two things from Pekka Rollins, but one of them was $200,000. A loan? No, I want that money. So that's like a way to get it back. Knox, what was it?
Right, it was the 200,000 Kruger.
It was something else though. He wanted ships. A message to Ravka. Yes, clever girl. You are a clever girl. A message to Ravka. Yes, a message sent to the government in Ravka, the capital. So he wanted that. He wanted 200,000. I'm guessing 200,000 would settle the. I thought that that's how much maybe the father's inheritance was, and so that would kind of even them out. But you know, Pekka Rollins is still alive, and that's not okay. Yeah. Yes, Michelle. Cass's idea of justice is not death. It is total and utter ruination, and then some. Oh, that's right. An extra 100,000 if he wanted the painting. Is just very scorched earth. Yeah, you're all saying amazing things with this. The whole Kaz thing, to add insult to injury. I saved your life. You're going to give me 200,000. You're going to send this message. Don't come for my 30 million. And I'm going to steal your tie, your pin, your wallet, your watch. And then but by doing that, by adding insult to injury, that's when Pekka Rollins is like, I know you saved my life, but if this Van Neck doesn't kill you, I am. So I like the fact that it's really set us up for the next book. He's got to get Inej back. He's got to get the 30 mil Kruger back. We don't really know if Wylan's going to stay looking like Wylan or for how long or what's going on there. And that Pekka Rollins is coming for him. Crooked Kingdom's going to be so good. And that's what we are going to be reading next. Don't forget, though, the next book that we are reading for Nerdist Book Club, which is happening in 2 weeks, is going to be Princess of Mars. Next week, we're going to have it off. So next week is just a reading week. I'll see you in #reading in the Discord to talk about the book. I know a couple of people already are having a little bit of trouble reading the book. I think it was written in 1912. 1912. That's like 20 years before The Hobbit. So it's a little bit harder to read. Oh, you're going to guide the raid? Love it. I'm going to have this open here, I think, methinks. So that's the homework. We're going to get started. Make sure you buy the second book for Six of Crows, which is Crooked Kingdom. Get started on Princess of Mars. There's been a massive Audible sale. Apparently there's 2 different narrators for that book. One of them was free on the site. Yeah, says Game Wizard, the writing style and use of language is just different and of its time, but I'm slowly getting into it through the audiobook. If reading John Carter will help, if watching John Carter will help, we're going to be doing that Saturday night, 8 p.m. PT. So if you want to join in for the live watch along that we're going to be doing, I think we're going to be doing it via Twitter. We all press at the same time, and then we'll go through and do that. That'll be happening this Saturday, which will be exciting, and hopefully it will help with the book. Enjoy the week off next week. This has been so much fun. I've loved talking about Six of Crows last week and this week. Thank you for all your recommendations. Thank you for this week got very deep, but thank you for being able to talk about that. We're rereading the first 3 parts for Crooked Kingdom. I don't know if I got it yet. I thought I did. I thought I got them all because I went on like a bit of a rampage. There it is, Crooked Kingdom. How many? It's 17 hours instead of, I don't know, they're all around 17 hours by the looks of it. I'm going to quickly just load it on my Audible. If someone knows how many parts there are, if there's 6 parts again, then it'll be 3. Let's have a look. I can tell you right now. Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. Oh, by the way, the first time I listened through it, it's 1.4. And then the second listen through, I put it up to 1.6. Oh, you want to talk about finding life, Jesper? Listen to Audible on 1.6. All right, part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5, part 6. Yeah, there we go. First 3 parts. To get a timeline for calendars, we're having next Wednesday off. The 26th is going to be Nerdist. So the 2nd of June, Wednesday, 5 till 7 p.m. PT, back here. Like always, I'm sorry that I hogged tonight. I could not shut up. I'm incredibly tired and I'm locked into the zone for some reason. But I have amazing book club community members in that have been talking through their comments, talking about big things. We built a document together, which has been really great. So the first 3 parts by June 2nd, Kat, that's what it is. Thank you, Econex, not only for subscribing, but for joining the community. If you haven't seen the Discord, I'll pop it in the chat. Zelda got her hair cut. Let me grab her. She's furious at me, but I want to show you how she looks. Ow, my knees. Come here, Papa. I know, you're naked. I know you're naked. You show off your new look. You show off your new look. Where did it all go? You're naked. When Zelda gets a haircut, she looks like Dobby. Don't go back to Hogwarts, Master Garrett. she's so cranky. Hi. What is it? Are you okay? She's sniffing the microphone. This is Zelda. If you haven't met her, Zelda is my pride and joy. She had a haircut today. There you go. Sorry, she hates being on camera. She is perfect. I love her. Here's the Discord. I'm popping it in the chat so you can come join the community. Half of it's locked off. It's a paid perk. So the reading book club, it's only $5 a month, but you get 3 big discussions every single month. It used to be 4, but we used to do half-hour after shows every week. So it was only 2 hours of content. Now I'm doing 4 hours of content instead to make up for an hour and a half not happening. So that's a cool deal. And we get to do our own stuff. And it's so much fun and it brings me joy and I love it so much. So if you want to join up for Patreon, don't hit the mic, Maude. That's the Patreon details. Oh, Gory already beat me to it. You're so good. So the perks, the tiers are 5, 10, 40, and 80. You can read each of the perks, but really quickly, $5 is to join the book club and be part of the community in that way and have access to a lot of the unlocked areas on Discord with playing and watching and reading. $10 is you get to see the Power Down episode that I do with Trisha every single month. And Gory and I are working on some more fun things for that. $40, I do a photo shoot and you get access to the entire shoot instead of just the 2 photos that I put on Instagram. Can't believe I have to preface by saying this. No, it's not lewd. It's just cool photo shoots that I work with a stylist and a photographer and I look badass in it with clothes on. And I hope that's okay. Apparently for some people it's not. We're also doing a game night this Friday night for $40 and more. And every 4 to 6 weeks I play Among Us with you guys as well. And we get to kill each other. And $80 we do a quarterly hangout where we have a video call. And it's really lovely because I get to check in with my $80 and yeah, right. I get to hear about my top tiers and they're just so great. And I just love having that sort of, being able to check in with everyone. Oh, Terry, thank you so much. Terry's been a part of the community for years. And honestly, we've got such a tight community and they're really, really awesome. And it's so great. So if you do want to be a part of an amazing community, it actually helps. I don't get any of the money. The Patreon money does not go into my pocket. And I really want to preface by saying that it is not for me to make money or an income. It is to run a company. So all of the Patreon earnings goes into paying my staff, providing work and opportunities, running websites, paying for all the miserable business costs, and paying for Fungeons and Flagons when I do new series of that. That's all out of pocket and I pay everyone who helps on the show. I don't do volunteer stuff and I had started the Patreon so I didn't have any sort of volunteer work because the start of the company, it was a lot of that. People like me having a mentor role and trying to help people by providing a platform for them. Now it's all paid. So yeah, there you go. Little rundown. You're welcome. That's what Geek Bomb's all about. It's basically providing a really awesome place to nerd and geek out with all things playing, watching, and reading. Alrighty, we hit the 2-hour mark. Thanks, everyone. Thank you so much, chat. Thank you so much, Discord. Does everyone want to unmute and say goodbye?
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Oh, man, it's so awesome. June 2nd, we're doing the next one. See for Princess of Mars. The delay is so cute. I know. Now, STS has dropped 3,000 points to Guide the Raid, and it's going to go to Becca Scott. Becca Scott is a host for Geek and Sundry. She's a big in the tabletop community and does a lot of gaming with tabletop. She's doing tabletop RPGs right now. Send my love. It's an all-women's game by the looks of it. Taylor Maude says hi. Make sure you drop those geek bombs in her chat and make her feel welcome, and spread the community love. I would really appreciate that. Geek Bomb is all about also supporting fellow female creators, or anyone who identifies as a woman, but we're just banging out of the raid. Becca's awesome. Send much love. Alrighty, it's happening now. See you very soon, but I'll also see you in the Discord, okay? Mwah. Thanks again. Bye. Oh, my nose is so itchy. It's so itchy.